Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. Today I have a slider tag I'm going to be making using the Paws for Kindness bundle from Studio Katia. That one got a lot of feedback. Everybody wanted to see that one done, and so I go a little bit further. I am going to make the slider tag, but I also have a tag and a card that I am going to show you at the end, but I'm not going to show you how I make them just simply because of time. Then we're also going to be using the Honeybee Harvest Festival paper, along with these darling Bitty Paws polymer clay embellishments. Aren't those adorable? I mean, that was basically my inspiration. That and the paper pad. And so here are the pieces that I cut out for my slider tag. These are for just to make a basic slider tag using that slider tag die. Even though that die has lots more stuff in it, you could just go crazy making stuff. I do end up cutting out one more of the smaller pieces because I want to have some more reinforcement for my middle part. So here I'm just going to glue on some lunch bag cardstock onto the back of that piece of pattern paper. I didn't want it to be very flimsy, so that's what we're going to use as our slider. And you'll see there's a notch here. And then you're going to see that there is a notch here. And basically what you're going to do after you've folded up your slider mechanism is you're going to use a little bit of liquid glue or some sort of strong adhesive. You could use some double-sided tape. That would work fine too. And then you're just going to line up those two notches, and then you'll glue that down or whatever using your tape or whatnot. And then you'll let that dry, and that is what is going to cause this to slide. It's just really the coolest concept ever, and it makes for easy tags. This came out so quickly. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark just with a pencil. Even though that cardstock is dark, I can sort of see it. I'm just going to mark with a pencil where that area is so that I know where to stamp my sentiment. And then we'll move on to our stamping. Now I am going to stamp up 3 of the images. I'm going to do the little girl, the little boy, and then the little boy again. And I'm using some Express It cardstock along with some Memento Tuxedo black ink, stamping those down. And then we'll get on to our coloring. Okay, for our coloring, we're just going to do some very basic color combos. I've got some E00 along with some E11 for the skin tones. I'm going to go with the same color combo basically for the boy and the girl and the dog and the cat. And I'm only going to show you one of the boys because they are being colored the exact same way. So I've put down my nice wash of E00 for their skin tone. I'm coloring these to sort of look like my kids, I guess, even though my kids are adults now. And I'm coming in with some E11 as my darker shade. No real rhyme or reason as to where I'm putting that color down, just slapping it down. And I'll do both of them at the same time. Typically, I like to work a little bit quicker. Work on one image at a time, but this is fine because I didn't go too crazy with my color combos. Like I didn't go from like a E00 to say like an E12 or something like that. It was okay if the color dried in between. For their hair, we're going to use E35 as the base color, and then we're going to come in with some E99. I'm basically just going to be using some feathering techniques for the boy's hair. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of shading for the little girl. I thought about, because it looks like it's almost like it'd be curly at the bottom of the little girl's hair, I thought about doing some stippling, but then I realized her bangs would be a little bit different. So I'm just going to do sort of feathering as well, but just kind of adding just darker shades in where I think there might be darker shades. And this isn't, like I said, it isn't like a big spectrum of color difference in what I've chosen. Just chosen the E35 and E99. For the cat, we are going to go with some E50 and some W, I believe 4 is what I'm going to go with. These are smaller images, so you wouldn't have to go too crazy. So I'll come in with that W4 because I have to make it look like Miles or Max. And I, for some reason, am missing my E84 Copic. Don't know where that ran off to. And so I can't color it like I would typically Max, but I'm going to color it like Miles. And then the pup, of course, both of the pups, they don't look anything like my dog, but we're going to use that same coloring. We're going to use some W8. This one I went down with my darker color first, which isn't something I typically do. I don't even know why I did that. I only realized I was doing it about halfway through, and it works fine because it's a smaller image. If I were working with a bigger image, I would probably not. And part of the reason why I typically like to go with lightest to darkest is because when I start with my darker color, I tend to go too much. Like I'll add too much dark. Whereas if I start with my lighter, I will be very minimalistic with the dark. So I'll have a lot more light and then, you know, be gradual with those darker colors. But that's okay. These work fine. And it's a smaller image, like I said, so it isn't any big deal. But I do like how they've got lots of little black spots all over them. And then we're going to move on to her little headband and the smiley on her shirt. And then we're going to do their jeans, which we're going to use B97 and B39. So her jeans or her shorts are very small. And so I'll do her shoes the same. And then I'll just add like little specks of that blue, which is almost unnecessary, but I did it anyway. And the same thing with his shorts. Now here you'd definitely be able to tell if you did some shadowing or if you didn't. And so I am going to obviously bring in some shading there. And I'm going to do the same thing with his shoes. I almost colored his sock, not paying any attention. And if you do that, it's not a big deal. You can fix that with a gel pen. So, but I love this little image. It's just so cute. And the sentiments that go with it are darling as well. Could not resist making this little slider tag along with a card, which you'll see, and a shaker tag as well. And I will, of course, have everything listed that I used down below. But for his shirt, we're using YR14 and then YR18. And then for her t-shirt as well. And I do apologize. At first, I didn't put the YR18 up there. I was FaceTiming with my son, so I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention as to what I was doing up on the screen. But thankfully, I did stay in the screenshot, which is kind of surprising. So that one's just going to have a little bit of shading. And then when we're done with that, we will die cut those out. And we're going to go on to the sentiments. I ended up stamping out several hugs. The top one just got a little too covered with, even though I used a magic powder bag, I think it's because I had some purple tape on there, so the residue from the purple tape kind of came off onto the paper. So I'm going to stamp out another one. And I'm stamping all of these because they're going to go across all the tag, the card, all those things that I've made today. Again, which I'll show you afterwards. So I'll cover those with some Alabaster embossing powder and then heat set all of that till those are smooth and melted. And there is some residue left over from the magic powder bag, but it's easily wiped away when everything is dry. And then I'll trim everything down using my Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer. And this works so great for just cutting out those tiny little sentiments. And the sentiments do a mix and match really well. Now I'm going to stamp on the inside what you would see poking through on my slider tag. And all I am stamping is you light up, what am I stamping? You light up the world. I thought that was really sweet. And the neat thing about tags, which I've said a million times, I love that tags can be used separately as tags, or they can go on the front of a card if you really, really want them to. So there's several ways to use them. You wouldn't have to just have it as a tag attached to a bag, but and now I'm just putting a little bit of the double-sided adhesive. This is the 1/8 inch score tape on the sides, making sure that I leave plenty of room for the track, basically, for the slider mechanism to actually move around. You could use a little bit of foam tape if you wanted to, but I didn't think it was necessary at this point. So I'll just put that down, line everything up, and then make sure that I push it down really, really well. Even using my bone folder to make sure that those pieces are very well and adhered. And then I'll practice it, and it slides very nicely. See how easy that was? I am going to put some reinforcers on the tag because, you know, the recipient will probably be moving it up and down a few times, and so I want to make sure that nothing gets torn. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue behind her. So I've got this already half slid out because I want to make sure that I don't close the thing. So be aware of that when you're using the slider tag. You don't want to, you know, end up adhering everything to the front of it so that it doesn't close. And I see it works fine. And then I glued Sending Hugs Your Way at the top. I'm going to use this little embellishment holder from the Twiddler's Nook to hold my little bitty paws, and then I'll put a few of those out there and use my crystal katana along with some liquid glue to adhere those down to the front. And I like that little embellishment holder. It's really cute, and it has this little lip where it's easy to pour everything back into the bag. And now that that is done, I'll show you my slider tag a little bit closer up. Isn't that adorable? So easy to make, and you could put just about anything on the front of that. I love it. And then I'll show you the tag and the card that I made as well. The tag uses these dotted shaker tags, one from Studio Katia. And then it's basically the same sort of thing, except this uses some other parts from the slider tag for the front. I love it. These worked out so nicely, and it was a lot of fun to make this whole little set. So if you liked this video, I would love it if you hit the like button, and if you subscribed, that would be fantastic as well. I always appreciate all the love and support that you guys leave. I appreciate you guys using my affiliate links because that does keep this channel going. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.